In the quaint village of Greenfield, where life moved at a gentle, unhurried pace, there lived a curious and imaginative boy named Thomas. Thomas was 15 years old, with a mop of unruly brown hair and a pair of inquisitive green eyes that seemed to miss nothing. He had a keen interest in history and science, often spending his days at the village library, poring over ancient texts and scientific journals. Thomas lived with his grandfather, Professor Edmund Whittaker, a retired history professor known for his eccentricity and vast knowledge of the past. Their home was an old, sprawling manor filled with books, artifacts, and mysterious contraptions that Thomas had always been fascinated by. Professor Whittaker had traveled the world, collecting items of historical significance, and his tales of adventure had ignited Thomas's imagination from a young age. One rainy afternoon, as the sky darkened and raindrops tapped against the window panes, Thomas found himself exploring the attic of their old manor. The attic was a treasure trove of forgotten relics, filled with dusty trunks, old maps, and mysterious objects from his grandfather's travels. As he rummaged through a particularly old and ornate chest, Thomas discovered a leather-bound journal with a brass clasp. The cover was worn, and the pages were yellowed with age, but the intricate designs hinted at its importance. Curiosity piqued, Thomas carefully opened the journal. The first page bore an inscription in elegant script, "The Time Traveler's Journal, property of Professor Edmund Whittaker." Thomas's heart raced with excitement. Could this be one of his grandfather's secret projects? He had often heard rumors of his grandfather's experiments with time travel, but he had always dismissed them as mere tales. Thomas eagerly flipped through the pages, which were filled with detailed notes, sketches, and diagrams. The journal chronicled his grandfather's experiments with time travel, describing the construction of a time machine and the various tests he had conducted. According to the journal, the machine was capable of traveling to any point in time, and Professor Whittaker had already made several successful journeys. As Thomas read on, he discovered entries about the places his grandfather had visited, ancient civilizations, medieval castles, and even distant futures. Each entry was accompanied by sketches and descriptions of the people and events he had encountered. It was a treasure trove of historical knowledge and scientific discovery. But one entry caught Thomas's attention more than the others. It was dated several years ago and described a journey to the future where Professor Whittaker had encountered a great catastrophe that threatened the very fabric of time. According to the entry, the professor had discovered that a powerful artifact, known as the chrono crystal, had been stolen by a malevolent time traveler named Draven. The crystal had the power to manipulate time itself, and in the wrong hands, it could bring about the destruction of history as they knew it. The journal ended abruptly with a note from Professor Whittaker, expressing his determination to retrieve the chrono crystal and stop Draven, but there were no further entries. Thomas's mind buzzed with questions. What had happened to his grandfather? Had he succeeded in his mission? And where was the time machine now? Determined to uncover the truth, Thomas decided to confront his grandfather. He found him in the study, surrounded by books and maps, deep in thought. "Grandfather," Thomas began, holding up the journal, "I found this in the attic." "Is it true? Did you really build a time machine?" Professor Whittaker looked up, his eyes twinkling with a mixture of surprise and pride. Thomas, I see you've discovered my journal." "Yes, it is true. I did build a time machine, and I have traveled through time. Thomas's heart pounded with excitement. But what happened to the chronocrystal? Did you manage to retrieve it? The professor's expression grew serious. I'm afraid not, Thomas. Draven is a cunning adversary, and he managed to escape with the crystal. I have been trying to track him down ever since, but it has proven to be a difficult task. Thomas felt a surge of determination. Let me help you, grandfather. We can find Draven and retrieve the crystal together. Professor Whitaker hesitated, but he could see the resolve in Thomas's eyes. Very well, Thomas. But you must understand the risks. Time travel is a dangerous endeavor, and there are many unknowns. I understand, Thomas replied, his voice steady. But I want to help. We can't let Draven destroy history. With a nod, Professor Whitaker led Thomas to a hidden room at the back of the manor. Inside was a magnificent machine, unlike anything Thomas had ever seen. It was a combination of gleaming metal, intricate gears, and glowing crystals, with a control panel filled with dials and levers. This is the time machine, the professor explained. It operates by harnessing the energy of the chronocrystal. Without the crystal, our travels will be limited, but we can still use it to follow Draven's trail. Thomas listened intently as his grandfather explained how to operate the machine. Once he felt confident, they set the coordinates for their first destination, a point in the near future where the professor had last detected Draven's presence. As the machine hummed to life, Thomas felt a strange sensation, as if he were being pulled through a tunnel of light. When the sensation stopped, they found themselves in a futuristic city, filled with towering skyscrapers and advanced technology. The air was filled with the hum of flying vehicles and the bustle of people going about their lives. Using the clues from the journal, they navigated the city, searching for any signs of Draven. They questioned locals, examined historical records, and followed leads that took them to various points in time. Each journey brought new challenges and discoveries, and Thomas found himself growing more adept at navigating the complexities of time travel. During their travels, they encountered a network of time travelers known as the Chrono Guardians, who were dedicated to preserving the integrity of the timeline. The Guardians had been tracking Draven for years and welcomed Professor Whitaker and Thomas into their ranks, providing them with valuable information and resources. With the Guardians' help, they learned that Draven was hiding in a fortified bunker in the distant past, using the chronocrystal to manipulate events and amass power. Determined to stop him, Thomas and Professor Whitaker set the coordinates for the bunker and prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. As they arrived at the bunker, they were met with a series of traps and obstacles designed to deter intruders. Thomas's quick thinking and resourcefulness proved invaluable as they navigated the maze of corridors and avoided detection. They finally reached the heart of the bunker, where Draven was conducting experiments with the chronocrystal. Draven was a tall, imposing figure with a cruel smile and eyes that gleamed with malice. He held the chronocrystal in his hands, its energy pulsing with a sinister glow. "Ah, Professor Whitaker and young Thomas," he sneered. "I must admit, I'm impressed you made it this far. But your journey ends here. We won't let you destroy history, Draven," Professor Whitaker declared, his voice steady. "The chronocrystal belongs to all of time, not just to you." Draven laughed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You underestimate the power of the crystal. With it, I can reshape history to my will. Imagine a world where I am the supreme ruler, where time bends to my commands." Thomas felt a surge of anger and determination. "We won't let that happen, Draven. We'll stop you." Draven's smile faded, and he raised the crystal, ready to unleash its power. But Thomas and Professor Whitaker were prepared. Using a device they had constructed with the help of the Chrono Guardians, they created a field that neutralized the crystal's energy, rendering it powerless in Draven's hands. With a roar of rage, Draven lunged at them, but Thomas was ready. He used his agility and quick reflexes to dodge Draven's attacks, while Professor Whitaker used his knowledge of history and science to outmaneuver him. Together, they managed to disarm Draven and retrieve the Chrono Crystal. As they held the crystal, its energy pulsing in their hands, they felt a sense of triumph and relief. But their mission was not yet over. They needed to return the crystal to its rightful place in the timeline and ensure that Draven could never use it again. With the help of the Chrono Guardians, they traveled to the ancient temple where the crystal had been created. The temple was a place of great power and significance, and it was here that they would restore the crystal to its proper place. As they approached the altar, they were met by the spirit of Alicia, the sorceress who had created the crystal. Her presence was radiant and filled with wisdom. "You have done well, Thomas and Edmund. The Chrono Crystal is a powerful artifact, and it must be protected. By returning it to its rightful place, you ensure the safety of all time." With reverence, they placed the crystal on the altar, and its energy flowed into the temple, restoring balance to the timeline. Alicia's spirit smiled, and with a gentle wave of her hand, she blessed them with her gratitude. As they returned to their own time, Thomas felt a deep sense of accomplishment and purpose. He had embarked on a journey that had tested his courage and ingenuity, and he had emerged victorious. The bond between him and his grandfather had grown stronger, and he had made new friends among the Chrono Guardians. Back in Greenfield, life returned to its gentle, unhurried pace, but Thomas knew that he would never be the same. He had glimpsed the wonders and dangers of time travel, and he had played a part in preserving the integrity of history. And so, the story of Thomas and the Time Traveler's Journal became a cherished legend in Greenfield, a tale of adventure, courage, and the enduring power of knowledge and discovery. Thomas continued to explore the mysteries of time and history, always guided by the lessons he had learned and the wisdom of his grandfather. The Time Traveler's Journal remained a treasured artifact, a symbol of the extraordinary journey they had undertaken and the timeless bond they shared. And as long as there were those who believed in the magic of discovery and the power of knowledge, the legacy of the time travelers would live on, inspiring future generations to explore the wonders of the past, present, and future.